From the Press Box starts now.
Outlet on the run, 2-on-1. Green the finish. Wow! Later to goal, gets the shot.
These fans remember where they were at and what happened today. Team on three. 1, 2, 3.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of From the Press Box, the show where the sports talk never ends. I'm Lauren Fluker alongside the one, the only, Jamal Williams.
Thanks, Lauren. All right, when you think of the San Francisco 49ers, historically you think elite passers, right?
That's right, but the latest news for the Niners involves two good quarterbacks and one starting spot.
After suffering a concussion, the 49ers starting quarterback Alex Smith was benched, leaving the job to back up Colin Kaepernick.
Coach Jim Harbaugh informed the team of his decision to name Kep the new starting quarterback.
Harbaugh went on to defend his decision by saying we've got two great quarterbacks that we feel great about as our starting quarterback.
You know what, Jamal? I'm not on the bandwagon yet, but I'm chasing behind it, about to get on, because this guy, in his second year of being pro, he's already a paradigm for what it means to be savvy at the quarterback position. This guy can run. He can throw. And if you're Jim Harbaugh, the question you're asking yourself is, when is the last time Alex Smith has gotten me a rushing TD?
You're right. This is a very interesting situation. I think it's extremely complex. And we talked with Jaws earlier this week about this exact situation.
I don't like to see a quarterback lose his job due to injury. I know that may be a little old school, old-fashioned, but I think Alex will certainly be given the job again. That's my feeling, and I think Jim, being kind of an old school guy, will go that direction. That being said, I think the leash will be a little bit shorter now on Alex Smith, and if he does struggle or their offense doesn't get going early, I think you will see Colin Kaepernick. But I think it's a good quarterback situation out there right now.
And in other NFL news, but on the other coast, New York Jets' most famous fan, fireman Ed Anzalone, has gone MIA.
There's been some speculation that Fireman Ed's displeasure with the Jets this season played a role in his disappearance and the deactivation of his Twitter account.
Ed left at halftime during the Jets' 49-19 loss to New England. Former Jets nose tackle Chris Jenkins tweeted, "Fireman Ed deleted his account. Wow, thought he was a die-hard fan."
It was later found that Fireman Ed was formerly a Miami Dolphin fan.
Wait a minute. So he switched from a team in the same division, AFC East.
Yes.
So
he did a little flopping.
He did a lot of flopping. So he's like, MIA for real, Miami, MIA.
Wow, okay, that's corny, but we're going to keep going. Seattle Seahawks starting cornerbacks Richard Sherman and Brandon Browner are facing a 4-game suspension. This comes after a violation of the NFL's performance-enhancing drug policy.
Both Browner and Sherman tested positive for the drug Adderall and are appealing their suspensions and defending their innocence. The hearing could take place as early as next week. San
Antonio Spurs head coach Greg Popovich opted to play without his big three, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili, and a key role player in Danny Green.
Yes, Popovich decided to rest them rather than have them play in the last game of a 6-game road trip to Miami.
The problem for coach is not the R&R, but the fans who paid big bucks to see the Stars play. NBA Commissioner David Stern expressed his displeasure with Coach Popovich's decision and fined the Spurs $250,000.
Stern released a statement saying, quote, "I apologize to all the NBA fans. This was an unacceptable decision."
I really don't see the decision as being all that bad. I feel like this was Coach Popovich pitching his lineup. This is the same way that baseball managers change their lineup and give players the night off. He knows he has an older team. He knows he wants to make a run at a championship. He needs those guys fresh.
Yeah, and I understand that there are certain checks and balances in professional leagues, but someone has got to be responsible for the fan experience, and in this case, it was David Stern. What do you do to those fans that paid all this money and they don't see those big stars?
This is true. Well, we want to send our regards to the family of Joe Van Belcher and the entire Chiefs organization. He took the life of his girlfriend and then later traveled to the Chiefs facility and took his own life.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Can we?
Yeah, let's count it down. There you go, like that.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are the #1 killer of children 1 through 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
5, 4, 3, 2.
In the wake of the rash of concussions that the sport of football is experiencing, 2 questions have been posed. What measures the NFL is taking to prevent concussions from happening, and what the reactions of the players are.
Well, I think the easy answer there is about the players' reaction. They are creating an extremely combative environment because they're not seeing that they're trying to help them with these rule changes and work together with them. They're making it a fight.
Really, and you know, they've got this fight through it or play through it mentality, and that cannot help at all because you can't get help if no one knows you need it.
Well, you're coached to do that. Obviously, you can't let every injury get to you. You don't want to let down your teammates. You do want to help your team win as many games as possible. So you can't change that mentality. I think that mentality and type of person are the players that are attracted to the game. You can't play the game without that mentality.
You're right. You said win, Jamal, but at what cost? Because you've got guys that back in week 10, 3 starters. Vic was out, Alex Smith, and Jay Cutler. So, I mean, you say win, but this is a huge thing. This is a brain injury to 3 starters.
You're right. I mean, it's a violent game. And out of those 3, I think the biggest one, I mean, Vic missed multiple weeks, but let's look at Alex Smith. I think that situation is really going to affect this whole concussion thing because you're going to look at it. Alex Smith lost his job because he was forthcoming with his symptoms of the concussion. And Colin Kaepernick became the starter. And I think you're going to see, as a reaction to that, more players saying, I'm going to withhold my symptoms and possibly not say anything and just play through it.
You're right, but I think that could also be just some tough luck because we know that with the Eagles, Nick Foles will not continue to start. We know that they're going to get Vic back. So that can just be a matter of tough luck with that particular franchise.
It's possible he could be the future.
You're right. Some people could look at this and say, well, I don't want to lose my job. But then you've got others who are just injured and they will return to the game of football. But Roger Goodell,
obviously you do have some stars that know they'll get their job back, but the majority of the players in the league aren't stars, and they're going to look at it as, I might lose my job.
You're right. Some guys will look half full, some others half empty. You're right about that. But Roger Goodell, one thing that he's been right about is the measures to take to prevent this from happening. He's taken out the flying wedge. He's changed the kickoffs. He's taken out tackling, the face mask, and horse collars, and hits to defenseless players. So these are all monumental in moving forward to prevent concussions. But I think that there's still work that needs to be done, but on the players' part. So what do you think about that?
I think the players are doing everything they can possibly do to make this successful. I think you're looking at, they do have guys that are out there playing the game physically and within the rules. And you're not seeing guys intentionally just saying, all right, I'll go out there and I'll pay the fine and just hit the guy. But at the same time, you have to understand that these decisions, when these defensive players or these offensive players are making them, they're trained to go 100 miles an hour and make this decision. So you're not just taking each step thinking, oh, God, I hope I don't hit him in the head. It's not the way the game is played, and if the game is played that way, he won't be on the field too much longer.
You're right about that, and there have been several players, I know Ray Lewis in particular, that have said some remarks about hitting that have just been dangerous. Ray Lewis said that he wants to hit a player and take his soul. So what do you do when you've got a guy coming onto the field? You know, this is a younger Ray Lewis, of course. What do you do when you got a guy that's coming onto the field with this mentality in the midst of all this change, so to speak?
Well, Ray Lewis is one of the biggest bright spots in this rule. He still plays hard, but he plays within the rules. He doesn't hit high. He's not a dirty guy and going too low, but he still, when he hits you, he gives you one of those remember me hits. You're going to feel him tomorrow. And the whole take his soul comment, hey, you have to play physical.
That's pretty physical. You know, and a concussion is a type of traumatic brain injury that is more likely to have a player that suffers from one to sustain long-term brain damage, which can lead to early onset dementia and a host of other things. And you've got a high percentage of players now that are hiding this. And I'm just thinking that this can cause long-term damage and other injuries.
Yeah, it's definitely going to cause long-term damage. You have to understand that it's just part of the game, and the whole head-up movement and forthcoming with these symptoms, this isn't their generation. They were coached to just, play the game with a reckless abandonment. And you look at these interviews, you have players like Troy Polamalu who says, forthcoming, I lied about concussions before to stay in games. And then in a recent interview, Cortland Finnegan, he said, most guys want to end their career scoring some sort of game-winning touchdown, winning the Super Bowl. He wants to end his career hitting a guy and laying him out, both of them unconscious on the field. And that's how he wants to go out. Somewhat like the Jack Tatum, Earl Campbell play from back in the day, but that was a different era of the sport, and this shouldn't be, but that just speaks to the mentality and type of player that plays the game.
You're right about that, Jamal. From the press box, we'll return after these messages. James Harrison is another one.
Oh, yeah.
He will take the life out of it.
But on defense, you have to play that way. Like I said, if you think about these hits before you do, you won't be on the field too much longer because the guy behind you won't think.
I mean, again, win, but at what cost, Jamal?
You're rolling. All right, Mama's going to bring you home. Mama's going to bring you home. No.
Challenge your kids to be active and eat healthy.
Let's see what you can do. Let's go.
Search We Can for ideas on how to get healthy together.
Kids will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Welcome back. It's everyone's favorite time of year. We've been waiting for it since the season began. It's championship time. The dust has settled. Two teams have asserted themselves above the rest. The Alabama Crimson Tide, they returned to the national championship in an attempt to repeat what happened last year. And the Irish, who are here to dethrone the Tide. So, some of the key points in this game. Let's look at A.J. McCarron. He's the most efficient passer in the nation. Is he a key to this offense? He's going to have to be because this Notre Dame defense is going to stop the run. Manti Te'o and Stephon Tuitt are just two very hard-nosed players, and they bring their helmet to each and every play, and they pride themselves on not allowing running backs to be successful. So Eddie Lacy and T.J. Yeldon are going to have tough time running on this Notre Dame defense. Let's look at the Alabama defense now. Jesse Williams and D. Milner. Those are going to be two keys to this game. Jesse Williams is going to have to shut down that running game and make Golson throw the ball for Notre Dame because at times he can be less efficient than he should be. D. Milner is going to have to shut down those receivers, even though the best playmaker for this Notre Dame offense is Tyler Eifert. That tight end, he's the best. He's one of the best tight ends in the country, plain and simple. Let's look at it that way. I think the players on the field, they're pretty close to being evenly matched. And I think the key to this game is going to be the coaching staff and the battle of the brains, that is. Brian Kelly versus Nick Saban. Nick Saban is a mastermind. He has almost a month to prepare for this game. That's a problem. Brian Kelly is not going to be able to compete. Nick Saban studies everything from what you do when you win the coin toss to what your quarterback does when they're under pressure. He is prepared. The Alabama Crimson Tide are going to run the Irish off the field in this one. That's my prediction. When we come back, we'll have hurry-up offense. Stay tuned.
The forest is a magical place for your whole family with animals and fun all around. Ooh. So discover the forest and explore all the wonder that's there. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
you think you're just checking your messages or telling a friend you're on your way. They could be the last words you ever type. Make sure you get where you're going.
Welcome to From the Press Box. It's time for my favorite part of the show, and probably yours too. Hurry up offense. All right, Lauren, you ready for the first question?
I sure am.
All right, first question. Should OSU be ranked #1 to start the college football season next year?
I think the Buckeyes should. This season they were 12-0. They were unblemished for no reason. So I think starting out next year, they should be #1. And you've got Braxton Miller returning and his two favorite wideouts, Corey Brown and Devin Smith. Why not?
I mean, personally, I don't think they should. I mean, I'm a big proponent for Braxton Miller. I think he's a great player, and he's going to come back much improved next season. But #1, have we heard of Notre Dame? They are in the national championship. They're a young team. If they go on to win this game, I don't think there's any question that they have to start the season next year #1. OSU, maybe top 5.
Top 5 is not bad. Okay, question 2, Jamal. I know he's your favorite. Cody Zeller, is he the best basketball player in the nation?
I think right now you can make a solid argument that he is the best player in the nation, that is. But at the end of the season, I don't think he will be. I'm looking at Shabazz Muhammad. This is a kid who's fluid, he's learning on the fly, and he looks like he has all the makings to be the best player in the nation. He's not bad now.
Yeah, that's true. And I think an even better question here, I do think Cody's pretty good and probably, like you said, now the best in the nation. But a better question would have been, is he better than his brother? And that is hands down. Cody's a premier player, and he's an impact player, which his brother was when he was at UNC. I mean, they got a title there in 2009.
It wasn't
so
because
he was
of him.
But he was some type of help for that organization at that time. But Cody, this is what he's done. He's averaged 6 more points than his brother and 3 more boards. So what does that say? Little brother's better than big bro, and his brother went in the first round. But maybe he will be. I don't know.
All right, next question. The Jets season is kind of going down the drain. Do you think it should be Tebow time in New York?
Why not, Jamal? Why not? Mark Sanchez has thrown just 2 more touchdown passes than he has interceptions. 12 TDs, 10 interceptions. Why not? At this point, I think the Jets organization just needs help. That 49-19 loss in New England, you made fireman Ed leave, for Christ's sakes. Let's just try something new here in New York, or there in New York, rather.
I think the Jets, really, you're right. Why not? They have nothing to lose at this point. I think Mark Sanchez has played terribly, and if he did have a backup quarterback that wasn't Tim Tebow, I think the backup quarterback would have gotten their opportunity by now. And the fact that it is Tim Tebow, I don't think that should stop them. Sanchez has not played like a starter in this league, especially to say he's not a first or second year starter in this league. He should be developed at this point and have the ability to play. No, he's not surrounded with the most talent that he could have and probably should have. But I do think Tim Tebow should get an opportunity to prove either that he can be successful or that he can't. Even if they don't give him a very large sampling, he should get an opportunity.
Okay, and last question. The Memphis Grizzlies, are they contenders? But before you start, how about an audible?
Okay.
Now, the question is, should NFL players be allowed to ask other NFL players for their autographs?
I'm assuming you're talking about when Jamal Charles asked
exactly,
Peyton Manning for their autograph.
That's exactly,
recently.
yes, a future legend. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Tashard Choice, when he played for the Cowboys, asked Michael Vick about for an autograph after the game, after they lost as well. So I don't see much of a problem with it. I think these are guys, they are guys that you know are living legends of sorts. And these guys have families too. You don't know if that autograph was for him. It could have been for a nephew, you know. These guys are living legends. Peyton Manning's a future Hall of Famer. Michael Vick, he's revolutionized the game in his own way. I don't think there's a problem with it at all.
I've got to agree with you, too. A guy like Peyton, people will pay good money for that autograph. I actually think that it is priceless, so I got to agree with you on that one. Maybe, I don't think I would ask for Romo's autograph, but Peyton, I'll give him a pass on that.
And I mean, there have been stories of at the Pro Bowl, guys switch helmets and, you know, sign jerseys and swap out. So it's not an uncommon thing. I think it's a bigger factor that he did it after a loss, but I mean, the Chiefs couldn't have expected to win that game going in, so.
It's pretty bad.
All right, well, that concludes another episode. As always, you can check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/FromThePressBox. Follow us on Twitter at FTP_tweets. And like us on Facebook.
And before we go, we'd like to pay our respects to the family of Hector Macho Camacho. He was shot in his native country of Puerto Rico. He was 50 years old at the time of his death. That's pretty sad, Joe. I mean, this guy has done amazing things for the sport of boxing, and to find out that he's just gone.
Yeah, it really is.
And they took him off life support. He was living for a couple of days after the shooting, but the incident happened. The shot was to his face.